it all game. We are motivated. We are dedicated. Come on now. Come on now. We will win. We are the best on the field. And we in the field like all day like all night like on the blue light, offense like, defense like, this squad like, house call like, and it sound like, and it sound like, and it sound like.
Welcome to the Short Sports Show. I'm your host, Daniel Short. Today is Friday, December 23rd, 2016. And a happy, early, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone. We will have somewhat of a quick show today. Not too long, but there's a ton to talk about. We're going to, of course, talk about how Oklahoma mishandled the Joe Mixon situation. Should collegiate players skip their bowl games to prepare for the NFL draft? Also, the reason why Ezekiel Elliott will not win the MVP award. It's going to upset some people. And also, the NFL announced a new developmental league. We're going to talk about that, some exciting news on that. Before we go on, of course, very close to 1,500 subscribers on YouTube. We're trying to reach that by the end of the year. Christmas miracle, I believe we could get it very close. Be sure to go on YouTube, whether if you're listening on YouTube right now or one of the other media outlets that we're on. Just go over to YouTube. Link is in the description down below. Click on it, subscribe over there, check out the other videos that we have, the other topics, discussion videos that we have that you guys can go check out. And of course, InnerGrind. Go check out InnerGrind holiday specials right now, whether you're in the Houston, Texas area or not. Go check it out. Michael Rackpo has some amazing deals for you guys. Get in the best shape of your life. If you're starting some new year, new goals, best way to do that, get in a healthy shape, healthy mind, healthy body. Do that with InnerGrind. Today's show is sponsored by InnerGrind. Based out of Houston, Texas, let former Texas State linebacker Michael Rackpo help you reach your fitness and nutrition goals. With personal training classes that start at $40 a session, why not be a part of this rising program? Now, whether your goals are to lose weight, gain muscle mass, find the right off-season program, or even for you ladies out there to get that booty blast, you can do it all with InnerGrind. Not a Houston area, not a problem. InnerGrind has a program that is personalized just for you. InnerGrind has everything you need to meet your personal and healthy goals. NFL linebackers like Titans Brian Orakpo, Chiefs Derek Johnson, Buccaneers running back Charles Sims, and San Diego Chargers cornerback Craig Mager, along with many other young athletes, have already begun. Find your personalized workout and nutrition plan at InnerGrind.com and call 832-475-2829. That's InnerGrind.com, 832-475-2829. Unleash your inner grind. First, some college football news. As always, Oregon running back Royce Freeman announced he will return for his final season of eligibility in Eugene next year. Now, Freeman, of course, his freshman and sophomore years, he's one of my favorite running backs in college football. He posted a combined 3,200 rushing yards, 35 rushing touchdowns. However, this past season, just 945 yards, which isn't too bad still, and especially with that Oregon's offensive line, which is just terrible. Still was able to post that, having 9 touchdowns, and he did miss a few games. He got injured against Nebraska and against Washington. But his decision, he really did look at it every single way. He believed it was best for him, both on and off the field reasons, and including the opportunity to go play for New Ducks head coach Willie Taggart. He loves the offense that he's going to bring in. Should be exciting and a huge boost for Willie Taggart. You got, Josh Hubert, who was a freshman quarterback this past season, who really showed some flashes of potential. And now you have your star running back returning, hopefully building that offensive line just a little bit better. And now you've got some weapons. Now you have something to build your offense around, to build your team around, because Oregon, this is a great way. I really thought Royce Freeman was going to go ahead and enter the NFL draft. Regardless of how the season went, I thought he still would go and be, a second to fourth round draft pick and just accept it and just go ahead and go. I mean, this is a heavy running back class, so this works out for Royce Freeman. If he posts another 1,000-yard season, stays healthy, helps Oregon, get back to 8, 9, maybe possibly 10 wins. I think that's a stretch, but helps them get back up there. We could be looking at, one of the top running backs in the next draft class in 2018. So a good, smart decision by Royce Freeman to go ahead and stay in school, help Willie Taggart, help the Oregon's offense, and it should be exciting next season. Something that isn't too exciting, but that happened, and I think we can all agree with this. Oklahoma mishandled the Joe Mixon case. Now, we've heard, everybody's talked about this by now. Oklahoma running back Joe Mixon, he told police back in 2014 that it felt like a dude hit me, end quote. That's when Amelia Moulter slapped him across the face, and then he punched her as a reaction to that. According to the video, which you have seen by now, if you haven't, it's very graphic. It's a terrible thing that happened, and the whole thing with this was handled completely wrong, of course, by Joe Mixon, by the woman Amelia, and the University of Oklahoma, Bob Stoops. Now everybody's saying, well, he was suspended. He redshirted that year, so technically that's not a big suspension. It's not like he missed anything. He still had his eligibility. He gained, he still had years of eligibility. He didn't lose anything, just redshirted. So with that, and he goes down and says in the video that Mixon told police that he heard a racial slur from one of Amelia's male friend, but not from Amelia. And then Mixon admitted that he responded with an anti-gay slur at that male friend. And of course, on Friday, Mixon's attorneys released 2 surveillance videos that showed the punch, which fractured 4 bones in her face. Mixon was charged with a misdemeanor at the time. And of course, the university suspended him for the entire 2014 season, in which he still redshirted. Here's my issue. Here's my issue with the whole thing. If I'm an athletic director, if I'm a head coach, if I'm Bob Stoops, I don't want Mixon on my team. Suspending him for a year, him redshirting, that does nothing. And it does absolutely nothing. You are still allowing this to be at your university. I don't want this associated with my university. When this video went public, there's nothing Oklahoma can do now. Bob Stoops cannot suspend Joe Mixon for the upcoming bowl game against Auburn. I know there's people wanting that, calling for that on Twitter. It's not going to happen. It happened 2 years ago. Doesn't make it any less. But this was mishandled completely all the way through. He should not have been allowed with the team, period. Should have been kicked off of school, kicked out of the university, and done with. Let him transfer somewhere else. What type of example are you setting that, hey, all right, you fractured a bone, 4 bones in a woman's, you punched her across the face, you weren't drunk, and we're just going to suspend you. Oh, and by the way, you can redshirt that year as well, so that way you don't lose a year of eligibility. What does that say? What does that say about your culture that you have at Oklahoma right now? That you're allowing this to happen. Bob Stoops usually can make some great decisions. This one, he screwed up completely all the way through. So both the athletic director at Oklahoma and the university itself to allow this to happen, especially with everything that's happened that we've seen, especially just down south of Oklahoma at Baylor with the sexual assault cases, players getting kicked off. This should have not been allowed. Mixon should have been gone. Mixon completely should have been gone. Now, he, of course, issued an apology. He knew the video was going to come out. He apologized again. And there's already reports. Now, he's a third-year sophomore. So he's a redshirt sophomore. So, therefore, being 3 years in college, he is eligible for the 2017 NFL Draft. And he's thinking about going. But multiple reports have talked to general managers, assistant draft scouts. They have all said, one report said, quote, general managers around the league have told those close to Oklahoma junior running back Joe Mixon that he will not get drafted if he declares for the 2017 NFL Draft. Nobody's going to touch him. And I can see this. He was already projected around the third to fifth round as a draft pick. That right there, especially with a heavy draft class, should already think maybe I should stay anyways. But this right here, the NFL's not going to touch this. Everyone is watching the NFL when it comes to assaults, especially something like this. We've seen what happened with the Ray Rice situation. Hasn't played since. You think a team's going to take a chance on this? I don't care that it happened 2 years ago. The report goes on to say that Mixon might not even be signed as a free agent and could be overlooked by the NFL Combine. Many view Mixon's only option is to return to Oklahoma for one more season in hopes of changing everything, changing his current reputation right now, which is still going to be it's going to be difficult. This is going to carry him all the way through, no matter whether he stays 1 more year, he stays 2 more years. I just believe Oklahoma mishandled this case completely wrong. And just imagine the press right now that Oklahoma would have had this year they've been in the college football playoffs. With all the media that surrounds the playoffs already, and this on top of it, would not have been good. Whole problem is Oklahoma mishandled this situation. Joe Mixon, it's just all bad. I don't like it. I don't like it. The fact that he's still able to play. I mean, I know you can't technically suspend him now, but it's why would you want that associated with your university? Why would you want that? It just makes no sense. So a big thing has been happening this past week, and people are thinking about a trend. I don't necessarily think so. And there's 2 waves of reactions to this, and both completely opposite sides. Now, Baylor senior running back Shock Linwood, he announced that he's going to skip the team's bowl game for preparations for the NFL draft, which this one makes no sense at all. He's only started 5 games this season. Yes, he's Baylor's all-time leading rusher, but he was suspended for multiple games after the interim head coach Jim Grobe said he hasn't been himself. He hasn't been himself. So you've already got some off-the-field issues, especially, and people, that could range from anything at Baylor right now. And you really didn't put up a great season this year. Now you're going to say you're skipping the bowl game, which is supposed to help you raise your draft stock, especially for Shock Linwood. And you're going to just say, I'm preparing for the NFL future. You might not even get drafted, dude. You need this bowl game. But the other 2 players who don't really necessarily need the bowl game, that's Leonard Fournette of LSU and Stanford running back Christian McCaffrey. They both decided to sit out their team's bowl games for draft preparations. And at first, I'll give you my first initial reactions. It's been a few days now. I was a little upset, right? That was my first reaction was they're skipping it. I mean, not necessarily that they need it, but they don't need the bowl game. These guys have put in enough work to show that they're first round running backs. I was just, it was kind of the fan side of me that came out and said, I want to see these guys play in their last bowl game, right? That was my first. But then once I really got to read and look at everything, Christian McCaffrey's touched the ball over 700 times at Stanford. He's put in enough work. And being a running back, we all know carries knock your career down. So I don't mind Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey sitting out. I really don't. And again, they've drawn both criticism, both sides. They're talking preserving their bodies, staying healthy, not taking unnecessary hits that they really just don't need. These aren't big bowl games. It's what, the Sun Bowl and what else we had? Exactly. I don't even know the 2 bowl games. It's the Sun Bowl and something else. It's not big games. They're not big games. Now, and there's multiple athletes have talked about this. Now professional athletes have said, well, would you have sit out? Well, if it's a national championship, no, I'm not sitting out. If it's something like this, the Sun Bowl, it doesn't really matter. Who cares if you go from 7-5 to 8-5? It doesn't matter. And I agree. If it's a national championship, that's where this becomes an issue. And general managers have taken somewhat both sides as well. And one of the major arguments to playing is when people start talking about, Marcus Lattimore, what happened to him when he suffered an injury. It wasn't in a bowl game, it was during the season, but he was a surefire top 10 draft pick to go to the 4th round and then not even play a game. The injury took his career, basically. And then you look at Jalen Smith last year at Notre Dame. Plays in the Fiesta Bowl, which is a big-time bowl game, by the way. It's not like it was a small bowl game when people bring this up. And then gets hurt. Drops to the 2nd round. He gets his insurance policy. He still gets paid. But we still don't know whether he's going to actually play in a game. And if he does, will he be the same that he looked like he was going to be? So there's always that as well. Now, before people go crazy, Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey weren't actually the first to say they were going to skip their bowl game and not play. Oklahoma defensive lineman Charles Walker said mid-season he quit the team. He quit the team. Mid-November, he said, I'm done. I'm going to train for the pros. He felt he put in enough work. And it was after he had got a concussion. He said, I'm good. He said he was good. And so now we've got 4 players who are skipping their bowl game, skipping the season to prepare for the NFL draft. And here comes part of the issue with that. They always say if you are thinking about you're playing not to get hurt, there's a good chance you're going to get hurt. So some of these guys skipping out, they can go and prepare. They could skip the bowl game. They could go train at one of these top facilities that it seems like they're everywhere now. Go train with some of those guys and tear an ACL just like that. I mean, there's no guarantee by skipping your bowl game you are going to stay healthy just by training. It wasn't that long ago. Actually, I'm going to take a quick break. Check this out. Okay, so I had to go get some information. So this is way, way, way back. Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Ronaldo Nehemiah was training, working out off season, running on the sand, running on a beach. Messed up his leg. Knee injury. Done. Same thing can happen to these guys. God forbid that it happens to any of these guys. I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen to say, oh, look, see, you could still get hurt. I'm just saying there's been plenty of athletes who have gotten hurt in the offseason preparing for the next year or preparing for the NFL draft. You're not safe. And if you're thinking about trying to stay healthy and stay and not get hurt, and that's going through your mind, there's a good chance you're going to get hurt. You're playing not to get hurt, and you still get hurt. It can happen. So the whole main thing of this is, while this makes just 4 Power 5 players, right, that have, out of the 1,000 of FBS players who have said, you know, we're just not going to play. This is not going to become a trend. This will not become a trend. We won't see quarterbacks start doing it because quarterbacks need it. We might see running backs. It makes sense for running backs, some of these guys, because of the extra hits, and especially these lower bowl games. There's so many bowl games. So many bowl games where it doesn't really matter. And these guys have put in enough work. Shock Linwood, on the other hand, that makes no sense. That one I'm completely against. That one we could go ahead and say if Shock Linwood was the only player, then we could just question him and say, you need this bowl game. You haven't put in enough work. Especially after this past season of just terrible and having off-the-field issues right now. That doesn't help you. You need this bowl game. Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, they've done enough. Everybody relax. It's okay. This isn't about them going to just try to get money and all this other stuff. It's fine for them. It's fine for them. I think we can all agree with that. So, not a whole lot for college football today. Not a whole lot. And it's also, you know, people traveling, and so most people think, well, maybe you have a longer show. No, I want you guys to just relax, enjoy the family, but still obviously get your short sports show in. We're going to have some bowl predictions here. I said it right this time. Not bowl I can't even say it now. Projections. Bowl predictions. Of course, this is only leading up till next week's show on Friday. We have today, this Friday, we have Louisiana Tech taking on number 25 Navy, 3:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Louisiana Tech is shockingly a 6.5-point favorite. This is the Armed Forces Bowl. I'm taking Navy here. I know they've slipped the past couple of weeks. They've lost the conference championship game and then losing the Army. But I'm taking Navy. I think they'll bounce back. They just had a little slip. I'm taking Navy to win this. Then you have Temple against Wake Forest on Tuesday in the Military Bowl at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Temple is a 12-point favorite. This game's actually going to be pretty good. Wake Forest wasn't that bad this year. Their record, I believe, is like 6-6, but they played a pretty good schedule, and they played some really good teams very well. Temple, on the other hand, they just lost, of course, Matt Rule to Baylor as their head coach, but Temple still has a very scary defense, and I like Temple. It's going to be a very interesting game. I'm taking Temple to win this game. Then you have on Wednesday, 16 West Virginia taking on Miami, the U, at 4:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Miami is a 3.0. This is the Russell Athletic Bowl. Very tough game to pick. West Virginia is getting, of course, a lot of hype going into next season. Dana Holgorsen signs a contract extension. I have to go with the Hurricanes. I have to root. I went all the way with Miami this year. I got to finish out the year with Miami. I'm taking the U. I'm taking the Hurricanes to win the game. Then on Thursday, you have the Belk Bowl. Arkansas taking on number 22 Virginia Tech, 4:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Virginia Tech is a 7-point favorite, and I am taking the Hokies here. Justin Fuente is going to finish out a really good season for Virginia Tech in his first year head coaching at Virginia Tech. Really good team. Arkansas kind of slipped off at the end of the year, losing pretty badly to Missouri, which wasn't a really good team this year. Arkansas just kind of slipped out. Their defense has been pretty bad. I am taking Virginia Tech. And finally, number 12, Oklahoma State taking on number 10, Colorado, 8 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. The Alamo Bowl on Thursday. Colorado, a 13.5-point favorite, and I'm rocking with Colorado all the way. I don't want Oklahoma State to win this game. I don't want them finishing their season good because, of course, recruiting and, as a TCU fan, I just don't want to see that. So I am taking Colorado to win the game. I think Colorado will win it anyways. The Buffaloes win big. And that is it for college football. We'll move over to the NFL. But before we do, check out InnerGrind. Today's show is sponsored by InnerGrind. Based out of Houston, Texas, let former Texas State linebacker Michael Rakpo help you reach your fitness and nutrition goals. With personal training classes that start at $40 a session, why not be a part of this rising program? Now, whether your goals are to lose weight, gain muscle mass, find the right off-season program, or even for you ladies out there to get that booty blast, you can do it all with InnerGrind. Not a Houston area, not a problem. InnerGrind has a program that is personalized just for you. InnerGrind has everything you need to meet your personal and healthy goals. NFL linebackers like Titans Brian Orakpo, Chiefs Derek Johnson, Buccaneers running back Charles Sims, and San Diego Chargers cornerback Craig Mager, along with many other young athletes, have already begun. Find your personalized workout and nutrition plan at InnerGrind.com and call 832-475-2829. That's InnerGrind.com, 832-475-2829. Unleash your inner grind. Moving on to the NFL, the Jaguars. What are they doing? Jaguars are starting to honestly scare me now. The past few years, media has been hyping them up just along with the Raiders, and obviously the Raiders, they did their job. They were good to be hyped up. They're good now. Jaguars, on the other hand, they've been hyped for the past 5 years and have repeated the same thing, winning less than 5 games each year. And I think the Jaguars are slowly, and this is pretty scary, slowly becoming the Cleveland Browns. No direction whatsoever for this franchise, and not being professional. They screwed up the firing of Gus Bradley. Now the players, they knew that Gus Bradley was eventually going to get fired, right? We kind of saw it coming this year after another bad start. But the way it unfolded on Sunday night was a bit of a surprise, especially when the team had Bradley return to Jacksonville on the team charter. He was fired before the team left Houston. Why? Why don't you just wait? If you know you're going to fire him, apparently the owner, Shad Khan, and Dave Caldwell, the general manager, made the decision to fire Bradley the day before the Houston game. But Caldwell waited until afterwards to tell Bradley, which after the game, that's perfectly fine. The problem is you did it right after the game and right before you left. So you made it a very awkward situation, which some of the players already admit it felt awkward because they didn't know what to say. And many of them found out through social media on their phones because there was no formal announcement made. No formal announcement. This is what a failing team does. No direction, failing to do things in a professional business way. And leading to awkward situations where you have the head coach fired right after a game and still fly back. Why don't you just wait? It's a, 2-hour flight? It was a 2-hour flight from Houston to Jacksonville. You couldn't wait 2 hours to fire Gus Bradley once you got to Jacksonville. And then made a formal announcement to the players when they all got back inside the facility. This is what a failing, losing franchise does. No clear direction. And this is what the Jaguars are becoming. So we'll see. Maybe Tom Coughlin, he goes in, and whether it's a head coach or the team's vice president, whatever it might be, whatever head position they give him, and maybe he can change up the culture there. Because the Jacksonville Jaguars have taken major steps backwards now, and I really just don't know what to say. I really don't. The Jaguars have kind of screwed this up here. The 2016 Pro Bowl teams were announced Tuesday, with the Oakland Raiders placing a league-high 7 players on the AFC roster. 6 members of the Atlanta Falcons were selected, which was most among the NFC teams. Now, despite missing 4 games of the season because of Deflategate, Tom Brady was picked for the 12th time in his career. Arizona wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald, he was selected for his 10th time. 26 of the 32 teams had at least 1 player picked. 22 players were selected for the Pro Bowl for the first time, including 3 rookies: Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys, and Kansas City Chiefs kick returner / wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Among the notable omissions was Detroit quarterback Matthew Stafford, which first place NFC North, 9-5. He didn't have anybody. Cam Newton, last year's NFL MVP, he wasn't picked. Drew Brees, Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, those guys weren't. Another player that was elected into the Pro Bowl, Titans linebacker Brian Orakpo, the older brother of Michael Orakpo, of course, the owner of InnerGrind and sponsor of the Short Sports Show. So Brian Orakpo, he's earned his 4th Pro Bowl trip his first since getting signed with Tennessee back in March of 2015. So this is awesome. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see Brian Orakpo put up a really good season this year. The Pro Bowl will be played Sunday, January 29th in, sadly, Orlando, Florida. So not much of a vacation for these players since they could just travel to Orlando anytime they want. The game will be back to the NFC versus AFC format after 3 years when it was this ridiculous Legends versus League, whatever it's stupid called. So I like it. It's back to the normal way, back to the way it should be of the NFC versus AFC. We had last week we talked about the Pro Bowl and how it should be changed, and back to the good old days, But it is good to see. Sadly, Russell Wilson. I was wanting him to get in there, but oh well. So this might upset some Cowboys fans, and I'm sorry, but we've got to talk about it. There's been some few articles, people talking, and I got to clear it. I got to clear it out because I don't want you to get hurt. It's Christmas time, It's holiday season right now. Just got to break the news. Ezekiel Elliott will not win the NFL MVP award. I know. But before you dislike the video, before you go on rant and comments, just relax. Hold on now. Now, we talked about this a few weeks back, but it's very difficult to argue that New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady isn't the MVP. Just kind of look at what he's done, right? And I'm not a Brady lover. I'm not, going all in saying Tom Brady's this and that. I'm just saying he is the guy. His numbers projected over 16 games would end up at 4,900 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He's only 9-1. He's played 10 games. Just 10 is one of the best quarterbacks and arguably the MVP of the NFL. Now, the problem is I don't think Roger Goodell is going to allow the league to give the MVP award to Tom Brady. That can't happen. That can't happen. After the Deflategate, handing the MVP trophy to him? No. But right now, Tom Brady is at 66.9% completion percentage, 3,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Total QBR for those that care, 80.6. Now, Ezekiel Elliott, he's putting up some amazing numbers. There's no doubt about it. He's the best running back in the NFL right now. He's going to win the Rookie of the Year. He's got that lockdown. There's no argument there. But when you put everything together and you look at everyone else, I just don't see him being more worthy of the MVP award than Tom Brady, Derek Carr, or Matt Ryan. Now, I'm not a fan that this award is 9 times out of 10 a quarterback award. This season, though, it does belong to a quarterback. You take away Brady or Carr from their teams, and it's not the same. A Cowboys team without Ezekiel Elliott, everybody talks about the great offensive line. So if it's the offensive line that's doing the work, now I wouldn't mind if we could give the entire MVP award to the Dallas Cowboys offensive line. I'm right for that. I would jump them up there. Sadly, it doesn't work that way. But you take Ezekiel Elliott away from the Cowboys, maybe another 1,000-yard rusher steps up, or 900-yard rusher. And maybe the Cowboys they're not great, but maybe they're still a pretty good team. Now, we got a quick look at what the Patriots without Tom Brady the first 4 games, and they did pretty solid. Jimmy Garoppolo looked pretty good. Even Brissett looked pretty good. But look at the impact he's had on that team since he's returned. It's hard to argue with any of that. And a Raiders team without Derek Carr is 3-11, not 11-3, which they are right now with them. The Raiders would not be the same team without Derek Carr. There's no argument there. What I think hurts Carr the most in his case is that he's 0-2 against the Kansas City Chiefs, which right now is the AFC West leader. And for his QBR, those that care, again, it's right in the middle of the pack. He's got 60.8. It's iffy. Another top candidate is Matt Ryan. This guy is, and not a lot of people are talking about him. They're kind of putting him low on the list. Ryan leads the total QBR, ranks 2nd in yards, 1st in yards per attempt, 2nd in touchdown passes, and 3rd in completion percentage. The case that's hurting him is that he's 9-5, and if we're going to look at quarterbacks getting this award, Brady's 9-1, and Derek Carr is 11-3. Are we looking at stats, or are we looking at team performance and how they impact, which leads to your win-loss? So, I do not see Ezekiel Elliott winning the MVP award. Yes, he is Rookie of the Year, absolutely, without a doubt. He's a great, fantastic player, and probably is a high favorite of an MVP maybe next season. But as of right now, it's Carr, it's Brady, or it's Ryan. I'm sorry, guys. I really am. The NFL announced yesterday, Thursday, that they will begin a developmental league. And I absolutely love this. The NFL on Thursday notified its 32 teams of a spring development league. And it will operate in April 2017, so right around the corner, and will work with NFL veterans who do not have contracts. The league will be run by independent investors with no connection to the NFL. We'll have 4 teams consisting of veteran free agent players and experienced NFL coaches. Teams will train at Greenbrier Resort in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, which is actually pretty nice. I believe there was a 30 for 30 about it. I can't think of it. And it showed the facility there. Man, it was a good 30 for 30. I can't remember. It's from April 5th through April 26th, and a total of 6 games will be played in that league. The NFL teams are not allowed to allocate players to the Development League debuting in 2017. That might change later on, but not right now. A daily schedule has already been set. 2 games will be played on the 10th day of the league schedule, 2 on day 16 and 2 on day 20. Some of the league's coaches have already been determined. Terry Shield will coach the quarterbacks. Mike Westhoff will coach special teams, and Bob Valencete, got that one, will work with the defensive backs. The league will also help in the development of NFL referees, which I think we all agree need a little bit of help with some of these some of these calls that are happening, especially on quarterbacks. Cam Newton's situation, that as well. I absolutely love this. The NFL, I'm a little scared. They're starting to make some right decisions. First, we had the My Cause, My Cleats, the change to the breast cancer awareness. Now it's any player can support some type of cancer awareness during the month of October starting next year. Now a development league. I mean, if they can just take away the celebration penalties and allow some contact by the defense on offensive players, we're back to football, and we're back to some fun stuff. So, okay, who's ever making these calls, I highly doubt it's Roger Goodell because he's not that smart of a guy. I like this. I like what's happening here with the NFL, the Development League. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome to watch. Hopefully I'm sure TV money's going to come in pretty soon, and we'll start being able to watch these games. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Development League, and who we see can go in there. I know in this picture that I have it, you see it, your screen right here, I believe. I put Johnny Manziel there. I'm just having some fun. But it does say veteran free agent players. He obviously has no contract with any NFL team right now. Maybe this is Johnny's way to step. I can't say it with a serious face. Maybe this is no. All right. Christmas Miracle, right? We'll see. But I absolutely love this. I think you guys will love it too. It's going to be awesome. NFL Development League, going to be awesome to see. Finally, last bit of news here. Los Angeles Rams rookie quarterback Jared Goff has been cleared of concussion protocol and will start against the San Francisco 49ers on Saturday. Sean Mannion, though, he will replace Case Keenum as the backup so the Rams can get a closer look at him before the season ends. So we could see that if Goff struggles just a little bit, or if somehow the Rams get up a huge lead over the 49ers, we could see Sean Mannion step in for the Rams and see where that goes. That should be pretty interesting. Will be pretty interesting to see how that goes. Now, Goff, on the other hand, I mean, it hasn't all been his fault. This offensive line for the Rams has taken a huge, tremendous step back from last season. I mean, Goff has been sacked 14 times in the past 4 weeks alone. It's incredible. It's ridiculous. And not many quarterbacks are going to be that good. Not saying it's off that there's excuses for Goff. He's been kind of bad, but it's tough when you've got half a second of a clean pocket, and then after that you got to scramble for your life. We will now do our Week 16 NFL predictions as we wrap up the show here. The Miami Dolphins taking on the Buffalo Bills. A lot of these games on Saturday. Tomorrow, 12 p.m. Central Time on CBS. Buffalo's a 3.5-point favorite. But I am taking the Miami Dolphins to win this game. I don't see why people are wanting Rex Ryan to get fired already. Now, if he loses this game, they finish 8-8, then maybe. But it's been 2 years that he's been with the Buffalo Bills, and they're already calling for his head. Sorry. I know that they've had a step back. They had some hope for this season. I just don't see why he should be fired. I don't. 5-9 San Diego Chargers. My San Diego Chargers. Going against the 0-14 Cleveland, very dangerous Browns right now. 12 p.m. Central Time on CBS. San Diego is a 6-point favorite. Something that worried me. I saw a tweet by one of the San Diego Union Tribune writers covering the Chargers. He was talking about, it was Philip Rivers had a press, his media conference thing. And he was talking about how Philip Rivers has to throw with a glove because it's going to be super cold in Cleveland and all this other stuff. And it just hit me right then and there. I have this feeling, and based on the luck that I have with the San Diego Chargers as my favorite team, I have this feeling that the Chargers are going to lose to the Browns and ruin this whole thing of the Browns going 0-16. I've been a fan of this 0-16 parade in Cleveland that I honestly would go to if I had the money. I would go to that because I think that would be a lot of fun. But I think the Chargers are going to ruin that celebration for everybody. Chargers have been bad this season. Cleveland Browns, they obviously don't want to go 0-16. And this is really their last chance to get a victory. I think next week they have the Steelers or the Ravens next week. They're definitely not winning that game. So the last bad team they play, oh, look at that. It's the San Diego Chargers. It's my San Diego Chargers. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and accept it. The San Diego Chargers will ruin my Christmas. Actually, no, it wouldn't necessarily ruin. No, yeah, it would. It would. They're going to lose to the Cleveland Browns. Yeah. And, of course, for Christmas, some of my family members are going to buy me Chargers t-shirts or a jacket or something. And I'm going to say, yay, guys, thank you. They just lost to an 0-14 team yesterday. Thank you. Merry Christmas. I just see them losing to the Browns. Congratulations. The 7-7 Colts taking on the 11-3 Raiders, 3:05 p.m. Central Time on CBS. Oakland is a 3.5-point favorite. I'm taking the Raiders to win this game pretty big here. I don't know why. I'm just not a huge fan of the Colts, but I'm taking the Raiders here. On Sunday night, we have the 8-6 Broncos going against the 10-4 Kansas City Chiefs. 7:30 p.m. Central Time on NBC. Kansas City is a 3.5-point favorite. Now, the Broncos need to win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive because they are quickly disappearing. Right now, the Tennessee Titans and the Miami Dolphins and the Baltimore Ravens are all fighting for those last two wild card spots. A loss here by the Broncos could easily ruin their chances of a playoff wild card spot here. So, being in Kansas City, a Sunday night game, a chance for the Chiefs to clinch the AFC West championship for the first time in a while. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game. Sunday night, that crowd, Arrowhead Field Stadium, it's Kansas City all the way. Taking the Chiefs here to win this game. Finally, on Monday night, the 9-5 Detroit Lions taking on the 12-2 Dallas Cowboys, 7:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Dallas is a 7-point favorite, and I'm taking the Cowboys to win this game big. Of course, excuse me, just last night with the Eagles' victory over the Giants, that now clinched the NFC East championship for the Dallas Cowboys. So now it's basically just trying to get that first round bye, which they can with a win here. And I think maybe a one loss by no, I think they clinch it with a win. I believe so. If not, I think maybe no. There's no one there. Yeah, with a win. So that would be huge for the Cowboys. And then after that, we're definitely going to be talking about next week is whether the Cowboys, along with the Patriots and potentially either the Kansas City Chiefs or the Oakland Raiders, do they start sitting their star players next week, the last week of the season, because it's a big playoff. Maybe this would be great for the Cowboys. Here's a little tease, a little preview. Let's say the Cowboys beat the Detroit Lions. It doesn't matter whether it's 1 point or it's by 20. Cowboys win. They clinch the NFC East. They clinch a first-round bye. Do we see Tony Romo step in at quarterback next week for Week 17 and let him play the whole game? Let Dak sit. Let Ezekiel Elliott sit. Get McFadden and Morris in there. Rotate the offensive line a little bit, as well as the defense. Sit a few other players out, maybe Dez as well. I don't know. Dez might need the extra playing time. I was talking to my cousin this past week. Dez Bryant right now has become the worst, best receiver. All that talent, all that skill, he's just fallen off the past 2 years. I don't see him as an elite receiver anymore. I see him as a good receiver. I don't see him as elite. It just might be the bad year. He's the worst, best receiver right now in the NFL. He really is. But so do we see Tony Romo step in at quarterback Week 17 and let Dak sit? Be interesting to see that. But that is it for today's show. with the Cowboys win, they get a first round. They get the first seed, obviously the first round bye, a home field advantage, all clinched. It is all clinched. They've got that already. Last night's win with Philadelphia Eagles win last night. Cowboys already have the first round. So do we see Tony Romo now? Do we see him this week against the Detroit Lions? Jerry Jones, obviously he already talked to the media saying that he tries to play it up. He's a businessman, ratings, he knows, he understands all that. So do we see Tony Romo step in and play this game? Get a little bit of time, whether Dak struggles or not. Hopefully Dak doesn't struggle. That's the last thing we need. The last thing we need is Dak struggling a little bit. Maybe the Cowboys are down 10 points or so in the third quarter, and then they put Tony Romo in. If they do that, then we got all chaos, all hell breaks loose with that happen. That's it for today's show. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. Let's get to 1,500 subscribers by the end of the year. I believe we can have it happen. A Christmas miracle, I believe we are 300 away, but I believe it can happen. Thank you so much for the support. Again, we'll still have a show next week, December 30th. Next Friday, we will have our show next week, our last of 2016. We'll have a quick little show like we did this week, and then we'll recap 2016, both a good and it's been an up and down year, but we'll recap 2016. Again, thank you guys for the support. Hope you have a Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everyone. Enjoy the time with your family and friends. Thank you guys so much. I love every single one of y'all. I'm out. See y'all next Friday. God first, God bless. Peace.